Mamie belle, la moustache et la capucha. Sito patamilo, mina taka tiki tunetika. Sito patamilo, mina taka tiki tunetika. Sito patamilo, mina taka tiki tunetika. Sito patamilo, mina taka tiki taka tiki. Sito patamilo, mina taka tiki tunetika. Sito patamilo, mina taka tiki tunetika. Sito patamilo, mina taka tiki tunetika. Mamie belle, la moustache et la capucha.
What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and today is my Sports Rundown Special Edition. Sports Rundown, y'all know this normally happens on Friday, but I had to wait because of the All-Star Weekend, and that's up first, the All-Star Weekend. We saw some really good action in the All-Star Weekend. Three-point contest, very good, very competitive. Enjoy every moment of it. It's a shame that the women, the WNBA, don't get as much publicity or spotlight on them, but at the same time, they got a lot of what's going on is some of the stuff is having to embrace the entertainment factor. I feel that with this, it actually is a start in the right direction to gaining that entertainment factor that you really want to see. And like I said, that was a fantastic contest. The skills challenge, we saw Damian Lillard walk away with that. I mean, those skills challenges are pretty unique. Damian Lillard looked good. I mean, it was no doubt about it. He's very impressive with how he manages the game, and he does a fantastic job with he did a fantastic job with the skills challenge. The dunk contest, how that, I remember growing up, the dunk contest was like the who's who of the NBA who were supreme dunkers. And what we saw in this rendition of the NBA dunk contest, we actually saw a G League player win it. You know, and it's a shame because it seems like that's now what the dunk contest is. It's now the G Leaguers and the lower level guys that are now winning. I mean, you're talking about Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown seems like the only NBA player that was really about doing it, and nobody else really seemed like they wanted to do it. So, I mean, the dunk contest, it is what it is, but it is starting to get to a point at where it's not the special event anymore. At one time, the dunk contest was the special event. It was the premier event. Now, to me, it seems like it's not there anymore, and it's not as exciting as it used to be. So I think that when it comes down to it, the theatrics that the guys have to come up with is going to have to be at a level of what we saw when And One was around. You know, somebody doing something that's out of this world. We still haven't seen anybody do the 720. I think we've only seen Air Up There. I think the guy's name was Air Up There. I think he's the only one I've seen do it, attempt it, do it, and make it. So, again, you know, there are things out there to do, but it's starting to slowly wane. It's excitement is going away. So that's what it is. That's what it is. And then the game. The game is losing its luster as well. You know, 200 and something points. That was crazy. You know, but it's something that we knew was going to happen. We knew that these all-stars were not going to play defense. They've never played defense, but we did think that they were going to be a tad bit more competitive than they were, and they just weren't. LeBron James looked like he was injured for real, but again, not as lustrous as you want it to be, but it was a game. And we got what we expected out of it. We got no defense. We got all offense, and to the tune of 300 and something points, which is unheard of. In fact, it's unheard of a team scoring 200 and something points. So the fact that happened, I don't know, man. It's another part of All-Star Weekend that's starting to lose its luster. So we'll see how it goes. But the next story. The Euro lie. Now a lot of y'all are going to say, John, what are you talking about? So we always hear about these European players and how they get to become professionals early on, and that's why they're so skilled and things like that. But if you really look at a lot of the Euro players, a lot of them don't come into the NBA beasting out immediately. They are doing the exact same thing that as the amount of time it takes to develop a European player or international player is about the same amount of time it takes to now develop the now new American-born NBA player. At one time, the American-born NBA player was so skilled or so athletic or so good that as rookies, these guys could come in and dominate immediately. Now their development is on par or at the same level as a lot of these Euro players. Because again, we're talking about a lot of European players that, yeah, they play well, they might shoot the ball well and things like that, but they're not as skilled as you want them to be. They're not as developed as you want them to be, especially when it comes to playing in the NBA. It's the sad part about it is that, there's this thing that everybody's saying, well, the Euro players are way better and they play better and they're more knowledgeable and they have all the tools and all this type of stuff. When in fact, that's not the truth at all. A lot of them don't have the tools. A lot of them do have a lot of things to learn. Hell, we see Koulibaly's athleticism, but we're not going to see him and his development until maybe 2-3 years down the road. The same thing applies to Wembanyama. Yeah, is what we're seeing really skill, or is it more leaning on the fact that he's just taller than everybody? The same thing applies to somebody like Jokic. You sit up there and he's a guy that slowly comes along, but he has a very old game in what people are considering the new NBA, where these guys are supposed to be better. What does that tell you? The Euro thing isn't something where it's like they come into the league and they're more skilled. No, what it is that they come in because they've already been coached and they're coachable. Whereas with the American players, they've gotten to a point at where they've made them come off as uncoachable. When that's not the case. The problem is that they're not getting the skills that they used to get by playing a lot of the street balls and a lot of the rucker balls and all that type of stuff, where they would get a bunch of skills and they were out there working on stuff like shooting, like sitting up there making plays, like dribbling and things like that. A lot of these guys aren't doing it anymore. So what's happened is that the Euros haven't gotten better. It's just the Americans have gotten to a point at where they're on pace with developing like the Euros. So like I said, again, the Euro thing, it's a lie. Next is the WNBA. I want to start off by saying I am a fan of the WNBA. I like the WNBA. I do feel that the girls are skilled, but at the same time, when you're talking about me, it's for a different reason. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a sports junkie, so I follow the games. I follow the league and things like that. And everybody's talking about how awful the product is. The product isn't really awful. The problem with the product is that the WNBA has gotten to a point at where the women are trying to not accept the entertainment side of the league. This is what I mean. When the women's U.S. team back in the early 90s came out, we saw them all over the place. In fact, one of the top shows that's actually in syndication, Martin, those women were on that show. And to this day, the reason we still know Rebecca Lobo, Lisa Leslie, Dawn Staley, Cheryl Swoops, the reason we still know a lot of these women is because of the fact that they were out there often and they were out there a lot. Not only that, their skill as basketball players were far superior to the women we see now. And I mean, and it's not me sitting here trashing them or anything like that. It's just that the skills that the old WNBA players had far exceeds what we see in the current WNBA. But a lot of this also is because these women disappear for so long. Like, there's so many times that we sit up there and we watch the WNBA have their season, and then it's over, and then the next thing you know, when we finally see them or hear about them again, the season has started back up. And I understand that there's this push to not have to feel obligated to be sexy for men. But there's nothing wrong with putting that level of sexy in front of men. Because at the end of the day, most people who watch sports are men. That's just the honest truth. But you still have to put some of those players to the forefront. The reason baseball is always losing its luster is because nobody knows the players. Nobody knows the players. And that's what's going on with the WNBA. Nobody knows the players. The only time you learn about the players is when a domestic violence situation happens, or they do something that's out of this world. And then it's like, oh, okay, that's great. But again, they're not focusing on the entertainment aspect, which they need to do. When the all season is going on, they need to do some stuff that keeps people's eyes on them. You know, like, there's so many really, really talented women that's in the WNBA. Like, for y'all not following Asia Wilson, y'all are crazy. She's a beast. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, she is one of the special women in the WNBA. Not to mention that she's also pretty cute too. But again, you can't sit up there and not focus on the entertainment side and then just disappear, and then when you reappear, the season is starting. We need more of these women out there in the atmosphere, in the zeitgeist, getting people paying attention to the game, getting people paying attention to them. Not only that, understand, if you want other women to get in, most women will follow women that are something else. Like a prime example, why are none of these WNBA women in a CoverGirl commercial, in a Revlon commercial? I don't see them doing anything. I don't see them doing, like, why don't any of them have a Fenty, what's that, whatever Rihanna, Savage Fenty, why aren't any of them doing those type of ads? Like, why aren't any of them doing, like, Victoria's Secret sports apparel, sports underwear apparel? Like, those are things that these women could be in that will definitely get attention to the WNBA and get eyes on the WNBA. And I get it. Sometimes, yeah, men can be pigs. Yes, I get it. But at the same time, that's how the entertainment value, that's how you're going to get your money. That's how you're going to get more eyes on the game. That's how the game is going to be built. And then guess what? When it comes to you all making money or saying that there's more money that needs that we should be making the same amount of money, at the end of the day, if you're not playing the game of entertainment, then guess what? It's not going to work. Because again, you can be like some of these lesser leagues. Nobody pays attention to the lacrosse league. There's a professional lacrosse league. Nobody's paying attention to a rugby league. The crazy thing about it is that internationally, soccer is a huge sport. American born, we barely know any of the US players. So again, WNBA, you just have to work on your entertainment level. Once you do that, then you'll be fine and everything will be okay. So again, like I said, that's your only problem, is that you have to bump up the ability to entertain, not just on the court, but off the court as well. Last but not least on the sports rundown is the NFL player evals. And I have to talk about this because it's one of those things where if I don't talk about the way people are evaluating the NFL players, this is why so many players are either overlooked, underappreciated, or people over-evaluate them. There are a lot of guys in this current system, like in this upcoming draft, that are getting over-evaluated or under-evaluated. Guys like Drake May, and I know this may come off as me always picking on Drake May, but the one thing that you see about Drake May is that, and this goes to a comment that was left on one of my videos, when I said that if you want him to be like Josh Allen, he has to play behind Josh Allen. I wasn't comping him to Josh Allen. I was comping him to the fact that it's going to take a while for him to get to where you need him to be. Again, in a league where sometimes a guy has to play under center. Drake May doesn't play under center. And because he doesn't play under center, there's a lot of those mechanical things that need to be worked on. So he's not going to be ready by the beginning of the NFL season or mid-season. There's a lot of stuff you got to work on. There's times where he sell balls just throwing them, and he just sells them over the receivers. Those are mechanical things that you have to work with him on. And understand this, he is not a guy to be drafting so high to sit up there and do that. But there's also a lot of other players, running backs, that's going to be over-evaluated or talked about heavily. There's some running backs that's not talked about enough. The guy that I like is the running back Bell out of Wisconsin. To me, this guy mimics Adrian Peterson, and they're not talking about him enough. So it's like, there are things that, sometimes when it comes to these NFL evaluations, I'm not certain how much of these scouting staffs are actually sitting up there scouting these players themselves, or if they're sitting out there and they're letting Pro Football Focus do it, or they're letting this person do it. There's been so many times where I've heard reporters talk about how coaches are their friends, and how owners are their friends, and how some of the agents are their friends. And it's like, so how can you be a legitimate reporter when so many of these people are your friends, and more than likely these people are using you to assist with giving their clients fair evaluations or better evaluations than you should be giving them? We need to get the reporters away from becoming friends with a lot of these people, and at the same time have these reporters sit up there and tell their friends to sit up there and say, hey, look, check this. I have to give this fair assessment. I want you to know I love you, you're my friend, and I still care about you, but I have to give this guy a fair evaluation, because if I don't, then I lose my credibility. And to be quite honest, I'm feeling more and more that a lot of these people who are player evaluators are all losing credibility to me, because I've heard so many of them announce and say and be loud about how a lot of these people are their friends. And when it comes to that, you can't trust these player evaluations. You got to go make your own evaluations to actually make something makes any type of sense. Y'all tell me what y'all think. What do y'all think about what I said between some of these rundowns? How do y'all feel about some of the topics that I spoke on? Do y'all disagree with what I'm saying? Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.